Oh, hey there, spooky listener. Good news. You still have some time before the episode starts if you want to scroll up and hit that follow or subscribe button, depending on whatever platform you're listening to this on. We have no preference, they're all good. If you're feeling really generous, you can even leave us a little review. We like 5-star ones the best. And tell us why you like the podcast. If you don't like the podcast, that's cool, but why are you listening? There's loads of other stuff to listen to out there. If you want to send us a little more detailed feedback, we have a dedicated email address. It's rowanandpinepod@gmail.com. The and is spelled out, so it's Rowan, A-N-D, pinepod@gmail.com. And also, please use that for spooky stories and encounters and stuff that you just want us to talk about on the pod. And failing all that, if email's not really your thing, you can always find the links to any of our socials in the link tree that's in the description of every episode. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Discord, whatever it is that you like to use. And make sure to tag us if you're recommending the pod. Also memes. Did you get all that? Good. Okay, start the intro music. You're listening to Late Night Love with Emily and Niamh. Except it's only 6:25 here and the middle of the day with Emily.
It is noon.
Yeah. Hello. Did everybody have a nice Christmas?
I don't know if I did.
Lie, Emily. Say you did.
Oh, I had a great Christmas.
Amazing Christmas. It definitely has already happened.
My daughter was really great in her 8-hour car ride.
Oh, man. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and it's not like, she's not like a cat. You can't just sedate her.
Right? Somebody, people have said to me, they're like, baby Benadryl, and I'm just like, I am not going to drug my child.
That was a big thing in, the 90s. I remember, my cousins getting, dosed up with cold medicine at, family parties and stuff. Probably shouldn't say
so
that.
Sad.
I'm not saying which side of the family.
Yeah. There is family somewhere.
But they're all in their, 20s and 30s now, so who cares?
They survived.
They survived, and they're all reasonably successful, so...
Are they decent people?
Yeah, good people. None of them I've had to block on social media, so that's always a plus with family, right?
Right.
Where you're like, yeah, I love you, but to continue loving you, I need to not see any of this.
Yeah, I had to block a lot of family on social media.
Oops. That's the nature of the country that you live into. Everything's very divisive.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Says the person who has had an ongoing war in their country for ages.
Yeah, but now we're at that war is at the meme stage of it. Everyone's just makes fun of Protestants really, because they're very easy to make fun of, putting their toasters in their cupboards and not liking soup, or liking soup. I can't remember which one is from Dairy Girls. They either love soup or hate it. I'm gonna say they love it because the whole getting people to convert to Protestantism by offering them soup when they were starving. You could have the soup if you converted to Protestantism.
That's so weird.
Yeah, that was the famine thing. They established soup kitchens and then said that you can come and have free soup because, you're starving, but you have to convert to Protestantism. And that is where we got the phrase, take the soup. Where it's where you kind of give up one of your core beliefs and core values to gain something.
Yeah.
It's not very fair when you think about it because people were literally starving, but
that's how they work though.
Yeah.
It's oh, do you need something? We will provide.
Yeah.
But you sell us your soul.
Yeah, you sell us your soul at a crossroads. Throwback.
So
yeah, welcome to is the right word hinterland? A no man's land in between Christmas and New Year. Would you call it a hinterland?
I've never heard of that.
I'm probably misusing the word hinterland, but I like the sound of it, so I'm going to say hinterland. Yeah.
The abyss.
The abyss. Between Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
This is going out on the 27th?
Yes.
27th. And
where nobody knows what to do. They're just laying
around full of cheese.
You don't remember what day it is. You don't want to go grocery shopping.
You've run out of things to talk about with your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're we have no fruit or vegetables, but the house is still full of food. What do we do?
Right. It's just full of meat and potatoes and
chocolate
cookies.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited for the next week. Because it's currently the 18th now, so like we have all of the Christmas yummy ahead of us.
Right.
I fucking love the Christmas yummy. Best time of the whole year.
Yeah, I've been restricting my foods lately, so or not like restricting as much as cutting things out. So I'm excited to be like, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get too crazy because that's always bad.
Yeah. Not to go like fully into like trigger warning diet talk, but like not to go fully into that. But I think when you're like a woman, especially our age, there's never a time when you're not like, unless like say you're pregnant or something. But even then you're still like thinking about everything you're eating and everything that's going into your body. So it's or really nice, when you have that little bit of time at Christmas where you're just like, fuck it, it's Christmas. You know?
Yeah. I have a frog in my throat.
Oh no. The frog that'll
really
metamorphose into a demon.
Yeah. It's moving its way, turning into a demon.
But it's okay because it's another Niamh episode. Sorry and or yay. Depending on.
It's going to be yay for most people because you're the more favored podcast host.
Where are you getting this from? We have 9 listeners.
Yeah, but all of the 9 listeners like you.
This is Emily has made this up, and
every single time they're like, "Fucking Niamh, she's so great," and I'm like, "Yeah, she is. I join her fan club too."
Geez, stop! This isn't fair because nobody messages me on Facebook, so I can't and I can't see our Instagram inbox, so I can't verify if she is full of shit or not.
I am not. I swear to God. It's always people writing me on Instagram telling me how hilarious you are. And I'm just like, I agree. I'm like, I know. She's the star. I'm just over here supporting.
Well, now that I'm thoroughly uncomfortable with the compliments, we could probably get into our episode. Because
we could introduce ourselves too.
Oh, yeah. Do they know? She's Emily and I'm Niamh.
Or is she Emily and I'm Niamh?
Yeah, maybe Emily just got really good at doing, or maybe I just got really good at doing an American accent. I'm so confused. I confused myself there.
I just got confused too. I don't know if you saw my brain stop working in real time.
Emily got really good at doing an Irish accent. So this is Emily speaking.
But you're talking about myself.
Yeah. In the third person. You know when you start listening to a podcast and you can't tell the difference between voices? Like for the first while, especially if they all have the same accent. I'm hoping that people don't really have that problem with us.
That would be nice.
I would assume not. I listened to a podcast with 3 Scottish women and they speak so fast. And it was literally about 10 maybe 15 episodes before I could actually tell them apart. And they all, like, part of their intro is them all introducing themselves. And I'm like, no, it just makes no sense.
I know. I'll be like, wait, no, that's that person. No, wait, is it? And then I'm just so confused.
Yeah.
Because, it's usually people who are from the same region, so they speak the same. They have the same sort of accent.
Mm-hmm. And
if they're, like, both women, their voices are sometimes the same, not always, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few podcasts that I listen to where I'm just like, you guys sound identical. Yeah. I don't know who's who.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but there was like 2 hosts that were like related. They were like sisters. And I was like, this is impossible. Absolutely impossible.
Yeah. I wonder what it'd be like if my brother and I were talking. I've heard people say that we sound alike. But I think it's just because, when you're raised in the same household, you kind of end up talking like each other.
I'm assuming that he would just sound like you with like a vocal pitch filter, like your voice pitched down.
Yeah, I don't know. Now this is like an interesting question I want to ask people. It's like, do we
speak the same?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like your speech is so much more than an accent. It's like a vocal inflection and it's, your filler words like your ums and ahs and ehs and all of that.
Yeah. Very curious. Write in, everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Emily. She's Niamh. We're Rowan and Pine. She's the Rowan. I'm the Pine.
I'm the wee bushy one.
With berries.
Yeah. Isn't that an innuendo?
And I'm the one who lasts all year. These leaves never fall off.
Damn. Okay.
But, although I am grayer than you are, so...
Mine is not real.
Oh, that's right. I always forget that's not your real hair color.
It's like when people refer to me as a redhead, I'm like, really not.
Anyway, Niamh, tell us what we're talking about today.
Today we are, because I thought I thoroughly wet some whistles last week talking about snow queens and snow goddesses, because we did a little bit of dancing around that subject last week. So I figured this week I would do some proper research and we'll do a little deep dive into what I've titled my notes is Snow Queens, Goddesses, Maidens, and Witches.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. So it's all the girls together.
Get it, girlies.
Get it, girlies. Okay. For those who binge listen, maybe only found us lately, or maybe you just have a really good memory. Emily actually spoke a little bit about some of the figures that we talk, like I have to give mention to right now, because they're all within this sort of same realm as women who snow. I don't know. Like, is that how we're going to, I can encapsulate it? Like snow adjacent women, I guess.
Women who rule the snow.
Yes. In our Krampus episode last year, which was probably right around the exact same time it was released. Because I think that was our actual Christmas episode. It was Emily's Santa adjacent episode. So in that episode, Emily told us a little bit about the Italian Christmas witch known as La Befana. And her feast day is January 6th, the day of the Epiphany, which is known as also the day that the three wise men finally reached the stable to visit the baby Jesus, because they didn't ask for directions because it took them that long because they're men.
And to give her all the gifts that she didn't really want.
But the story of La Befana is that they actually did stop to ask for directions, and it was La Befana. I don't know why she's Italian, because that part of the world is not in Italy. Anyway. So what was she doing there?
They got very lost.
Yeah. And the story goes that they invited her along to visit the baby Jesus. She said no, but then she later changed her mind, and she decided that she would visit the baby Jesus.
She was running after them. Wait,
come back. Shit.
I changed my mind.
According to Italian folklore, La Befana rides her broomstick through the night to deliver presents to well-behaved children and coal to naughty ones who don't deserve any presents. And if you want to attract La Befana, you leave out a little tipple of wine, a good old sausage, and she's sure to come over.
What can she say?
Good for her.
She likes her sausage.
Emily also told us about Berchta, or Frau Berchta, who is like a Christmas hag, but she can also be seen as young, pale, and beautiful. Berchta is usually depicted with one large foot, and sometimes it's the foot of a goose or a duck. She has an association with spinning wheels, like spinning threads. And apparently this symbolism is supposed to symbolize her ability to control the fates of the world. They think that she is basically like a new incarnation, or a newer incarnation of like an old snow goddess. And within the folklore, as it evolved over the years, she would visit like young maidens to check if they had spun their allotted portion of flax for the year in the wintertime. And if they hadn't, she would like punish them, which, you know, all right. She's also considered a goddess of the dead. As I mentioned last week, she's a goddess of children. She's who children go to after they die.
I feel like we've had a solid run of mentioning dead children in the last like 3 or 4 episodes.
It's pretty intense, isn't it? It's like, oh, Christmas, dead like, children.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our live as well. Our live event.
Yeah. Oh my God.
If anybody didn't tune in for that, our live event, we told a story about dead toddlers.
Twins.
Yeah. It was a good story, though.
And just so everybody's aware, we do not support dead babies.
Yes. Just a note on Frau Berchta, she was, of course, demonized by the church in the Middle Ages.
Of course.
So she went from like this sort of enforcer of social taboos, a goddess of like dead children, to a child-eating hag who would slit the bellies of naughty kids, remove their innards, and stuff them full of old straw and stones for their trouble.
Cute.
It's fucking extreme. Like, calm down.
You could just give them a baby Benadryl. No.
And given the last few episodes as well, can you guess what you can leave out to pay tribute to Frau Berchta?
Is it porridge?
It's porridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she likes porridge.
We should have a porridge corner segment of this show. It's the porridge corner.
Apparently, Frau Berchta likes porridge so much that if you ate a morsel of food other than fish or porridge on her feast day, she would show up and split your belly in two. So,
yikes!
She's passionate about porridge. What can I say?
New T-shirt design: passionate about porridge.
Passionate about porridge. Ask me about my porridge preferences. We have to do a little hop, skip, and a jump over to Russia. Emily also told us about Snegurochka or Snegurochka. It's spelled about 15 different ways in my notes, so it's a difficult one. So Snegurochka was Ded Moroz's granddaughter. Who would show. Yeah, Emily was looking at me going, "I never talked about this." Yes, you did.
I have.
Emily was very pregnant.
I have little memory of like the last year or so. Oh my gosh.
Basically, after this podcast goes up, and I have listened to it when it's on everyone's like feeds to make sure that it's the correct audio file and that it sounds okay. I very rarely listen to it ever again because
same.
It's very hard to like. You probably find this a lot with your art. It's very hard to like look at something that you've done and not absolutely tear it apart. So
yeah. Which is why I stare at all the stuff I've done over and over and over. I'm like, what? How could I be better?
She's a glutton for punishment.
I am. It's terrible.
I did actually re-listen to our Krampus episode because I was like, I don't want to like rehash so much of this. And I don't want to like do deep dives into something if you already did a deep dive. So it was nice to listen to Krampus, and it wasn't as bad as I remembered, or as I assumed that it would be, like with the editing. And the sound. The sound's pretty good.
That's my episode. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I meant, because it was an Emily episode. I figured it would be bad.
My episodes are always worse.
Emily can see my face and see that I'm
hail
taking the
Queen
piss.
Niamh.
Oh my God. This is the worst day of my life.
How Irish of you.
God. So Snegurochka is the Russian Santa Claus, or Ded Moroz. It's very hard to put an apostrophe S at the end of a word that ends in Z. But anyway, his granddaughter. She's most commonly depicted with long silver blue robes and a little furry cap. And she is sort of like a staple within like the Russian holiday season. And she lives with them in Veliki Ustuk and helps them to distribute gifts. We had a little theme last week of a character, a very like famous character who doesn't actually come from folklore, our little boy Jack. So we have another one this week, the babushka. Have you ever seen like Folklore, the babushka? Yeah. So the babushka, like Jack Frost, is not actually a folklore figure, but she's sort of linked to Baba Yaga.
I didn't know that there was a like quote unquote the babushka.
Yeah, just because it was coming up a few times, and then I found one that was like, it's not actually a folkloric figure. So just babushka, it's sort of, I think it's a Russian term for grandmother.
I was gonna say, I think it means grandma.
Yeah, but babushka actually comes from a La Befana inspired American literary tale by an author called Ruth Robbins in the 1960s. So it was one of those things that it was like a written tale, and then people just assumed that this was like a folkloric figure and had always been around. But she was invented in the 1960s. And then just like La Befana, the three kings actually stayed with the babushka overnight. And then the story sort of goes the exact same as La Befana. But for some reason, this person, Ruth Robbins, made it a Russian figure rather than La Befana. Maybe she didn't want to get sued by Italy.
Was the mob big in the 60s over here? I don't remember. I don't know anything about that, but she's like, I better not insult the Italians.
Spoken by a woman who lives in Chicago. Yeah, she's not taking no chances. At the end of the story with La Babushka, she set out on her own story to visit the child Jesus, but she never actually fulfilled the wish, and she still wanders the earth. But as she does, she leaves gifts for all the children of the world in her search. So that's cute.
I still haven't received mine yet.
From La Befana? Or
yeah,
Babushka?
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Wait, who's the one who's lost?
Babushka is the one that was lost in the story.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm waiting for my gift from her.
Okay. We'll send her a note.
Still waiting.
Mm-hmm. Just as a very general figure, we have the Snow Queen. So once again, the Snow Queen is not actually a figure from folklore. The Snow Queen...
Is the one from Candyland?
What's this one? What's the Snow Queen from Candyland?
Do you know the board game Candyland?
No, never played it.
Oh no! Okay, I need to Google this now so I can show you.
Okay.
Her name is Queen Frostine.
Frostine?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
From Candyland. It's like a board game and it's like...
wow. Queen Frostine. I like it. Oh, I like her dress.
She's beautiful. Mm-hmm. When I was a little kid, I was like, I want to grow up to be that.
Yeah. I need you to provide any pop culture references that I don't have in here from your American perspective, because there's very few in Ireland because we don't really make our own media. So I'm sure there's lots of stuff that you see that we never see, you know?
Like Candyland.
Yeah. Like, I don't think...
That's such a bummer. I feel like that's like a staple board game for kids.
It probably is, but just, we weren't really a board game house, like my family. So maybe that's why. But I don't think... Have I seen Candyland in anybody's house? Try to think. Maybe. But yeah, I've never
because there's like all the different characters from Candyland, and like I think that there was like a social media post. It was like, who would play this guy? Who would play that guy? Like there's Lord Licorice.
Nice.
And people were like, Jim Carrey. Like everybody's saying Jim Carrey for Lord Licorice.
Yeah, he does have a little bit of Jim Carrey about him, I think.
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
So the Snow Queen, as most people know, maybe they don't, was an original fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen. The story became popular, especially after it was released in film form by Soviet animators in the 1950s. And then, of course, it was very loosely adapted by Disney for Frozen. So Elsa is based on the Snow Queen, but they changed, like, I think almost all of the plot line of it.
Everything except for the snow.
Yeah, it's like literally just snow. In folk art. In folk art, the Snow Queen may share some physical similarities with Snegurochka. So she has like usually the long blue dress, and she has like ice white hair, and she's usually pretty young looking, or like, you know, ethereally beautiful. You know, she looks like a fairy queen or like a snow queen.
Yeah. Man, that's a tough word. Ethereal.
Yeah.
Ethereally.
So originally, in the original language, the Snow Queen is Snedroningen. So in Hans Christian Andersen's story, the Snow Queen is the main antagonist. She is the evil queen of the snowflakes or snow bees. So that's the direct translation of snowflake is snow bee. So she travels throughout the world with the snow. Have you ever read The Snow Queen? I've never actually read it.
No, I haven't.
I remember having a book of Hans Christian Andersen stories, but I don't remember actually reading it, which is weird because I read everything that I had when I was a kid. Anyway.
Yeah.
The Snow Queen's palace and gardens are in the lands of permafrost. And they actually have a geographical location. They're in Spitsbergen, which is located in Svalbard. That's in northern Norway. Have you seen any content like online from Svalbard?
No.
It's really cool. There's a lot of content creators, especially like it's too late in the year now, but they were talking about getting ready for the polar night. So like, you know, when the sun doesn't rise for the next few months, and just everything that they do, like, you know, getting their house ready and like how they get like mentally ready for like the polar night and all of that, which is really interesting. There's also a lady that has this absolutely gorgeous, I think he's a Malamute. He looks too big to be a husky. And he is absolutely beautiful. And he just has a complete TikTok account dedicated to him, just running around in the snow and absolutely loving life. He's a proper sled dog. So,
oh, is she the one who camps all over the place?
I think so, yeah. She has a cabin,
I think
but
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she does seem to be out and about.
Maybe not. The woman that I follow, I don't think she has really a residence or a house. I think she just like is nomadic and travels all over the place with her. I think she has 2 dogs now, but started out with 1. And yeah, it's like a sled dog.
I'm gonna look up the name of the dog that I'm talking about because everybody likes to look up dogs, right?
We love dogs.
Actually, one of the top Google searches is "Who is the girl in Svalbard" on TikTok, and it says Cecilia Blomdahl. Yeah, she has a dog called Grimm, that she adopted from her friend. Yeah, she has so much stuff about like, you know, this is what it looks like at 9 a.m. and it's like just completely like it looks like Twilight.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's so cool. So yes,
that's the woman I'm talking about. I don't know if you've seen her.
What's her dog called? It's weird that I'll know more by the dog's name than her actual name.
I'm not really sure. Wait. Yeah, I don't know the dog's name. Oh, he's so cute.
Oh, he's beautiful.
I wanna do this.
There's a lot of amazing content there if you just look up some dogs of Svalbard. Yeah, lots for you to see. But it's cool that the Snow Queen had an actual physical like address.
Yeah.
Spitsbergen.
This is where she lives.
Yes. So in the story, she takes one of the protagonists, who is a little boy called Kai. Kai has been corrupted by the splinter of a mirror belonging to a troll who is actually the devil. A splinter got into his eye, and the splinter corrupted him, so he can only see the ugliness and hatred in people.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's intense. So she basically like entices him to come back to her palace, and she promises, when he realizes that he's been taken captive, she promises to free him and give him a pair of skates if he can spell out the word eternity with pieces of ice in her palace. So while this is happening, Kai's childhood friend Gerda, she is on a quest to rescue him. She meets all these characters along the way. She finds Kai, she runs up to him and kisses him, and he's saved by the power of her love because she weeps her tears on him and melts his heart, and it also burns away the mirror splinter because he also starts crying, and then after the splinter is gone from his eye, he becomes cheerful and healthy again. So
yay.
Yeah, it's a happy ending, because not all of Hans Christian Andersen's stories seem to have those.
Yeah, it seems like I don't think I've ever really read one of his fairy tales. I really should, though. I should get a book with a bunch of them in it.
Yeah,
but I know that it's like a lot of the Disney films were sort of adapted from those.
Mm-hmm. His Little Mermaids
or his fairy tales. Yeah, and the actual ones are very dark.
Yeah,
in comparison.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like right up our alley, to be honest.
I know. I'm like, why have I not read these?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I'm looking into this, I'm like, why did I, like, I remember having a book. Why did I never read them? Anyway, maybe my mom thought they were too dark or something.
Did you ever watch the movie The Brothers Grimm?
Matt Damon in that?
Yeah, and Heath Ledger.
I think I saw it like right when it first came out. I don't remember.
Yeah. And they're basically playing like the two brothers.
Yeah.
And they're sort of like living in a fairy tale. It's pretty cool. It's one of the movies I actually really like.
Yeah. Because that's what the Grimm brothers did. Like everyone refers to like the Grimm brothers fairy tales, but what they did was like mostly just collected folklore, like existing folklore, and like gave it like structure.
Niamh, are we the Brothers Grimm?
Oh my god. This is what we are.
Really excited. We are. We got to come up with a cool name. Cooler than Rowan and Pine.
And then the last sort of non-folklore, like actual like mythology or folklore based category I have are snow witches.
It's me.
Through myth, fairy tale, and legend, powerful women are depicted as dark, cruel, and calculating, and they're often naturally associated with winter because it's the withdrawal of warmth and light from the world. So, like, one of the probably the most well-known snow witch is Queen Jadis or Jadis. This is one of those times where when you only read something and you don't know how it's actually pronounced, and it's been so long since I ever watched the Chronicles of Narnia movies.
We actually just watched them. I think we were watching them when I was pregnant. But again, I remember nothing.
Yeah. So she's portrayed by, I keep going to call her Thandie Newton. It's not Thandie Newton. It's...
Oh my God, you messed me up. Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton. I knew it was a strange name starting with T.
Yeah. You were like 1/4 of the way there.
Thandie Newton probably would have been a really cool Snow Queen too, because she has that whole regal...
I don't even know who that is.
Regal thing. I literally can't think of a single Thandie Newton film right now.
Oh, okay. I do know who this is.
Yeah.
I just never knew her name.
Mm-hmm. Also, partly her name, like, that's not actually how it's pronounced. Because she, like, gave an interview, like, 2 years ago, and she was like, yeah, everybody's been pronouncing my name wrong all of these years, and I just didn't correct them. Like, okay.
That's, the same thing happened with John Legend's wife. I forget her name.
Chrissy Teigen?
Yes.
What's her name?
Her last name is pronounced Teigen.
Oh. Well, that's
which is funny because when I would read people writing her name, I thought it was pronounced Teigen, and then everybody was saying Tegan, and I was like, oh, okay. And then she came out a couple years ago, and she was talking with her mom, and she's like, Mom, how do we say our last name? And then she's just like laughing, and she's like, I just let everybody say it wrong.
Well, it's like Ariana Grande, and her brother are the only ones in their family who pronounce it Grande. Like, apparently
how does everybody else pronounce it?
It's something like Grandy, or like she pronounces it basically like the Starbucks like size. Yeah. But apparently they just started doing that because they thought it sounded better.
Interesting.
I know. I suppose
now I gotta look her up.
I guess all names are made up.
Yeah.
Really. And also, just on the subject of, like, mispronouncing names, so you know the Irish actor who's having a moment right now, Barry Keoghan is how he pronounces his name.
I have no clue who you're talking about.
He's in, like, Saltburn, Killing of a Sacred Deer. He was in The Eternals. He was in Banshees of Inisherin. I'm just naming movies Emily hasn't had a chance to see. Anyway.
I haven't even heard of them.
He's like an Irish actor. And, like, I would have, like, everybody in Ireland has always, like, all been pronouncing his name as Keoghan, because Keoghan is a well-known Irish surname. And also, like, GH, usually you don't pronounce the G. But he's been giving interviews and calling himself Barry Keoghan. And everyone's like, okay. So there was a lot of Americans getting corrected online for pronouncing his surname wrong. And they were all pronouncing them right. Because he's like, no, it is Keoghan. And we were like, where did you get this from? That's not a name.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's Keoghan. I refuse to accept it. I just know from, like, growing up here that there are a lot of, like, names in, like, say, the US that don't have a Mac or an O in front of them. Like, in Ireland, but in the US that they do. So it's like somewhere along the line, somebody wanted to sound more Irish. Which is weird.
No.
You know, yeah. It's like that's not a name with a Mac or an O in front of it. Like, why have you put that there?
It's like McAnderson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's stuff like that, and you're like, that's not an Irish name. Like, you just made that up.
I could totally see people doing that. I don't know why everybody's very passionate about, like, I'm Irish. I'm Irish. It's like, you're American. You were born here.
Yeah. If you call yourself Irish and you know at least, like, 5 things about the current state of the country, have at it. It's fine. But if you think we all still live in cottages, please just stop.
You're like, I'll allow it.
Yeah, I'll allow it. If you know who Hosier is, that's grand. And you're saying you're Irish.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
And if you know what the song Take Me to Church is actually about.
Back to Tilda Swinton. So, Queen Jadis, or Jadis, I'm just going to say Jadis, is the final surviving resident and the self-declared Queen of Charn. She was extremely powerful. She was an extra-dimensional sorceress and was once the most infamous ruler of Narnia. She was accidentally brought to the world of Narnia on the day of its creation, and she was banished to the north by Aslan. She returned 900 Narnian years later and usurped the throne from the original royal family of Narnia. And as a curse upon her subjects, she began the long winter, where she magically forced Narnia into a 100-year state of frozen snow and ice, which lasted all through her reign, thus earning her the title the White Witch. She is sort of elements of the Snow Queen and Winter Witches and all of that. She's a pretty good, like, you can see where she came from when we look back at, like, all these other, like, folkloric characters or figures. So you can see like her roots were in all of these folkloric characters.
Oh, okay.
If you understand what I'm doing here, what I'm getting at. I think it's like as we have talked about, like with Harry Potter, usually they'll borrow from a few different things. From mythology and stuff. It's all just recycling.
I need somebody to come up with something brand new.
Mm-hmm. And also release some films of like original IP, because I'm so sick of reboots and sequels and
oh my god, right?
Ugh, we don't need live action everything.
Yeah, I don't need Aladdin again. I don't need The Little Mermaid again. I don't need Frozen again. I don't need all of it again.
Yeah. Especially if it's been like less than a decade. My god.
And can we stop with the Marvel films?
Yeah, I think Marvel's dying a death though, because I think they oversaturated and everyone was like, there is so much of this to keep track of and half of it's not even any good. So can we stop?
I know. I don't get it, because I feel like I'm always hearing about something new and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? I've not watched almost all of them, so.
Well, it used to be that like when they released a Marvel movie, there was like, it would be the one of the year and it would be like this big event and then they would have something else. Like it would say at the end of the film, like Iron Man will return in like 2013 or whatever the hell it was. And it would be like, oh, cool, like, and you'd be hyped. And then it was getting to the point where they're releasing like 5 a year. And then there was all the TV shows. And you're like, I don't understand what they're referencing because I haven't seen this like 6-part TV show, which is like 6 hours of content that I need to catch up on. And yeah.
Right. Boo. Thumbs down.
Boo. Yeah, we're really giving Disney a go here, aren't we?
We are. Don't come after us. We love you. Do we? I don't know.
Yeah. So let's go into some actual folklore and mythology figures. So we mentioned Snegurochka, and we know her as the granddaughter of Zedmorosh, but there's actually another aspect to her personality. So she is, in Russia, usually depicted beautifully on hand-painted Russian crafts, and she is known as the daughter of spring and winter. And the story that goes along with her is that she pines to live with normal people, and she actually gets bestowed upon a childless couple as a winter blessing. So
Aww.
There's this old couple who long for a child, and they make a little girl out of snow. And the little girl becomes a real living child who grows and grows by the hour, and her flesh is white as snow, and they name her Snegurochka. It just means basically snow child.
Yeah.
Originally, of course, because it's Russian and they're going to devastate us, in the story, she melts when she jumps over a fire on St. John's Day. So St. John's Day is June 24th. So it's like, right, you know, when the snow is probably just melting in Russia, I assume.
Russians, please don't come after us.
And she becomes a white cloud that floats away into the sky forever. The story also, like everything, there's more added to it over the years. She is actually apparently not able to feel love herself. And when she's growing up, she remains indoors with her human parents until the pull of the outdoors and the urge to be with other children becomes unbearable. So her mother allows her to go outside, and when she goes out, she immediately falls in love with a human boy. But because she has fallen in love, it warms her heart so much that she melts.
I told you not to.
Russia, can nobody be happy?
No.
Let the snow child meet a boy.
You stay in line. You stay in the house.
Yeah.
You listen to your parents. Otherwise you melt.
So that version of Snegurochka has been adapted into plays, movies, and even an opera. And now we got to go to our Nordic neighbours again.
Knock, knock, knock.
Knock, knock, knock. So Skadi is one of the most famous goddesses of snow, or I guess she's technically a giantess. So in Viking myth, Skadi was a Jotun, or one of the Jotnar, one of the frost giants that we were speaking about last week. She's associated with winter and snow. Just like the other Jotnar, she is associated with cold and darkness. Her home is in the mountains where the snow never melts, and she hunts with her bow. She is renowned for being clad in either snowshoes or skis, and is often linked to the skiing god Ullr because of this. So she's almost like a goddess of skiing.
Sounds like my kind of lady.
And of course, she wouldn't be a snow goddess if she didn't have a sad story to go with her.
Ugh.
So the story begins with her father. Her father was a giant called Tiati. He was renowned for being skilled with a bow as well, so I reckon that's where she got her bow skills from. But her father was killed by the Aesir gods in pursuit of Loki. Skadi set out to gain vengeance for the death of her father, but she was placated by the gods who had killed him. They offered to place her father's eyes as stars in the night sky and said that she could choose any husband from their kind, yet with one condition. She could only look at her potential husband's feet before choosing.
So if I had looked at Medardo's feet before I chose him as a husband, we wouldn't be married. I'm just saying.
The look of disgust on your face. Yeah, does anybody want to choose a husband by his feet? My God. Have you seen man feet? Are you familiar with, I might actually blow your mind here if I send you like a clip of it. Are you familiar with the TV show in the UK called Naked Attraction?
Mm-mm. It sounds familiar, but I haven't seen it.
So Naked Attraction is a show where somebody stands in the middle of a studio and there are people behind like glass partitions.
This is starting to sound way more familiar.
Yeah, and it starts by showing you their feet and you have to eliminate one person based on their feet. And then it goes up and it shows like their crotch and they're fully naked and you have to eliminate based on their penis.
Genitals?
Penis or vagina, whichever you're into. This is all like you see their face last and the people have to answer questions and stuff.
What the hell?
Actually, when you mentioned Chrissy Teigen, she had a few like very funny tweets where she was clearly on tour with John Legend and she turned on like TV in her hotel room and she was like, there are peepees on my TV.
Oh my God. Because they don't censor in Britain, correct?
No, like there's like the 9 p.m. watershed. So if it's after 9 p.m, you can usually get away with most things except like actual like hardcore porn.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, it's good in a way because like there's another show called Embarrassing Bodies, which is like people will go and, you know, they'll show like embarrassing things with their bodies, like to get like a medical opinion on it. So you see sort of a lot of gross things, but you see a lot of things that are like, you know, it normalizes. It normalizes that not everybody's like, you know, picture perfect. So it's good in that way. And then they had like different like sex education shows when I would have been like the right age for it, which was cool. Like but Naked Attraction is just, it's fucking bonkers.
I can't imagine being like, okay, your feet, your knees, thighs. All right. Just your genitals. And I don't know anything else about you.
Mm-hmm. It's so strange. And then like sometimes, because you'll look at the people and you're like, you sort of get an idea what you think their face looks like and they'll have like a completely different face than what you think they would, you know?
So weird.
It's also quite hard to age people when you can't see their face.
Yeah. Yeah, because unless they're like really old or really young, you can't tell.
Mm-hmm. And what's interesting too is, so unless they have like tattoos or piercings or like dyed hair or, you know, something like to give them away, you have no idea what their sense of style is like. Yeah. So they'll often come out like fully dressed after they've been eliminated. And you're like, wow, I would not have thought that she was like, you know, like a punk or like a full goth or anything like that, you know, just based on what they look like naked.
So weird.
Yeah, so anyway, that's Naked Attraction. So the Norse version of Naked Attraction, that was when Skadi was given the opportunity to choose a god to be her husband. And she actually had a crush on one who Emily has mentioned before. She mentioned it in one of our Pine Cones episodes. It was actually our Friday the 13th episode. It's also sort of a household name in my house anyway, because it's in the name of a video game that Ewan has been playing for absolute months. Baldur. Ewan has been playing Baldur's Gate, but Emily mentioned Baldur in the story when she talked about his death. Little festive tangent. Baldur was killed by Loki at a feast that was being thrown by Odin. He was killed by a mistletoe-tipped spear. The reason why that was interesting, why mistletoe, which is very festive and very in keeping with our episode today. So when Baldur was younger, he and also his mother Frigg, they had the same dream prophesizing his death. After that, Frigg was so distraught that she made every object on earth promise never to hurt him. But the only object that she didn't promise, because she thought it was so harmless, was mistletoe. It was a mistletoe-tipped spear that Loki used to kill Balder.
Yikes.
Yeah.
She really fumbled that one.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, during her stint on Naked Attraction, Skadi agreed because she thought she would be able to tell Balder's feet from all of the others easily. But it turns out that this wasn't the case. Much to her dismay, she instead chose the feet of the sea god Njord due to his dazzling tootsies. Because she'd accepted the offer, it was binding. She took him on as her husband, but they had nothing in common because he was of the sea and she was of the mountains. And they decided to split their time between like his realm and her realm. In the end, Njord couldn't take the howling of the mountain wolves after 9 nights. So he's a little pussy boy. So he insisted that they move to the sea. When they moved to the sea, Skadi couldn't sleep with the screeching of the seagulls.
Who can?
Yeah. So they decided to get divorced and they each returned to their respective homes.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah. But for anybody wondering about, did she ever get like vengeance for the death of her father or even for the death of her endless crush Balder? She played a role in the torturing of Loki. She set a venomous snake above his face while he was bound as payback.
Yikes.
Good for her.
Oh no.
Didn't think she would know much about venomous snakes being like a mountain girl, but a snowy mountain girl, but...
A snowy mountain girl.
Yeah. Sounds like a country song. My snowy mountain girl. She likes to be in the caves. I like to be in my truck.
Yeah, she likes her icicles.
So yeah, Skadi, it's thought that she has her origins as a deity from the very like northernmost part of the Scandinavian region because she has attributes linked to the Sami way of life, like skiing and hunting. And I think you mentioned Sami people before. I can't remember where though. And she has links to the Sami Volvur, so that's their term for witches, who practice a form of magic during the Viking Age. And it was a skill, of course, mainly used by women. And it's like sort of evolved into the shamanic practices of the Sami. Shamanic? Yeah, let's say that. So their structure of beliefs is both polytheistic and animistic, and they basically like they worship or they hold in high esteem all the things of the natural world, like rocks, rivers, trees. Everything has a spirit and a life force. If you listen to Colors of the Wind, it's very similar to that, but of a completely different culture.
I was gonna say I feel like that's something that a lot of indigenous cultures believe. Mm-hmm. Look where we are now.
Native Americans, Celtic cultures believed a lot in like, you know, the power of trees and rocks, and you know, the oak was like the Celt sacred tree, and you know, it was like close to God almost.
Right.
But yeah, if Sami beliefs are sounding familiar to anybody, especially anybody who has little kids, they're also depicted in Frozen 2. Because there are indigenous Sami elders in Frozen 2.
Oh, really?
Apparently. I've not seen Frozen 2.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm turning on later for the baby.
Nice. Yeah. You have a reason to watch it. So the very last one that we're going to talk about, because this is somebody I wasn't really familiar with, and I was like, why have I never heard of her? The Scottish goddess of winter, who is Beira. So Beira is not just the goddess of winter, she's apparently the mother of all gods and goddesses in Scotland.
Wow.
So she's like the creator goddess.
She's special.
Yeah, but she was also very fearsome. The quote goes, before gods and goddesses were born, there was Beira, queen of winter and one of Scotland's most powerful deities. She created not only the rest of the Celtic pantheon, but also the hills and the mountains and all of the steep hikes of Scotland. She has only one eye, and her teeth are the colour of copper. So she's not winning any...
She's sexy.
She's not winning any modern beauty standards. But also, she sounds pretty cool. Like, her skin is blue and her long hair is white.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's quite the looker.
Mm-hmm. Although her reign is undisputed during the winter, when spring comes, her subjects begin to rebel against her rule, because such is the cycle and the nature of life. Usually when her rule is receding, she's replaced by the coming of Angus, and they're saying Bridget. I'm thinking Bridget, like the Celtic goddess Bridget, who are the king and queen of summer and plenty. Beira has a few other names. She is known as Cailleach, which is, when I was in school, that was the word we had for witch. So when we were doing like Halloween stuff, it would like Cailleach was just the word for witch. It means hag. And the actual like root of the word is the veiled one, which sounds very cool and mysterious.
That is really cool.
Yeah. In Irish, her name comes from an Cailleach Beira. Beira is like an old word meaning sharp or shrill. So they think it has like a dual meaning that she's like an old hag, but also like how sharp and like the howling of winter.
Yeah.
She's been given a couple of other names. There is a 9th century Irish poem called The Lament of the Old Woman that gave her the name Digda. In The Hunt of Slieve Cuillin, she is called Melucra. And she's also in that poem known as the sister of Anya. Anya is a very common name here in Ireland. It's A with a little accent, fada. A fada I-N-E, Anya. And Anya.
A what?
Fada. You know, like in French, there's like a little accent, so it'll be going this way. Sorry, I'm doing it like mirrored for you.
Oh, so that's the name for the accent.
Yes.
Like character or whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what letter is that?
Anya is the Irish goddess of summer, wealth, and sovereignty. Beira also appears in the tale of a Glass Governor, which was about a very fertile cow. There's a lot of old Irish stories about very fertile cows or very significant cows. It's like, Jesus Christ, pick another animal. We had wolves. Would you not do more of them? In that story, she's called Birog. So yeah, she has like all these other names, but they're all the same names for this same person, the Cailleach or Beira.
Okay.
Few of her characteristics. The reasons she doesn't die of old age is because, just like our Frosty boys last week, she basically ages throughout the winter and then she de-ages at the end. So at the beginning of every spring, she drinks the magic waters of the Well of Youth, which bubble up on the Green Island of the West. So that's like off the west coast of Scotland.
And then she thaws out.
Yeah. And that's a floating island where summer is the only season and the trees are always bright with blossom and laden with fruit, which sounds a little bit like the other world from like Irish mythology, Tír na nÓg, the land of eternal youth. So we see that a lot. The waters of the Well of Youth are most potent when the days begin to grow longer, so like in the springtime, and most potent of all on the first lengthening days of spring. So Beira, as a matter of habit, would always visit the island on the night before the first lengthening day. And that's the last night of her reign as Queen of Winter. So that is actually winter solstice. So the long night, and then the days start to get a little bit longer again. So from when we're recording, just 2 days from now, but it would have been a week ago for anybody listening on the day of release.
Oh, wow. That's so crazy that it's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So soon.
Yeah. And of course she has some ground rules for when she gets to have her magic drink. She has to drink from the Well of Youth before any bird visits it and before any dog barks. If a bird drank first or a dog barked first, she would crumble into dust, which is fucking dramatic.
I was gonna say, that's very
You made these rules.
Yeah, why are you doing that to yourself?
She's like the classic like mother or grandmother. It's like, oh, I guess I'll just never drink from the well then. I'll just go then.
Yeah.
I'll just go crumble into dust then. Okay, martyr.
Right.
So as soon as she drinks, she begins to grow young again. And then in the story, she left the island, and when she returned to Scotland, she fell into a magic sleep. When she awoke in the bright sunshine, she rose up as a beautiful girl with long yellow hair and red cheeks red as rowan berries, actually, and blue eyes that sparkled like the summer sea in sunshine.
Where's the pine reference?
Yeah, I don't see any
coming
pine
up,
references.
right? No.
She went to and fro through Scotland with her gorgeous new face. It's like when you get your hair cut and you want everybody to see you. She is clad in a robe of green and crowned with a chaplet of bright flowers of many hues. No fairer goddess was to be found in all the land, save Bridget, the peerless queen of summer. So we're not pitting women off against each other here, okay? I'm sure you're both absolutely beautiful.
You're gorgeous.
You're gorgeous, Beira. Gorgeous. As each month passes, Beira ages quickly. She reaches full womanhood in midsummer. And then when autumn comes, her brows wrinkle and her beauty begins to fade. So she doesn't have any Botox, but you know, that's okay.
I feel that. My brow is starting to wrinkle.
By the time it's winter again, she's an old and withered hag. She becomes fiercer and more bitter the older she gets, which don't we fucking all.
That's what I like to hear.
I feel you, girl. So then the cycle begins again once the summer solstice comes, when she regains her youth, and then she goes to sleep, and then when she awakes again, she's gorgeous again.
I feel like that would be an exhausting existence.
All of that.
All right, we're doing this again.
And she's forming all of the mountains and lakes and forests and all of that. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
She's got, yeah.
She's actually credited with creating Loch Ness.
Oh.
Specifically Loch Ness. So she has another well in Inverness, which had to be kept covered from sunset to sunrise. But one of her maids, whose name was Nessa, creative, was in charge of the well. One evening, Nessa was late going to the well to cover it over, but when she drew near, she saw the water flowing so fast out of the well that she turned away and ran for her life. Beira watched her from the top of Ben Nevis, which is the highest mountain in Scotland, and it was her mountain throne, and cried, "You have neglected your duty, now you will run forever and never leave water."
Well,
and that's how Loch Ness got formed.
So who made Nessie?
Yeah, maybe she had like a lizard friend or something. It's
her pet.
Once a year, actually, when it's the anniversary of the night that Nessa was transformed, she arises out of the river in her girl form, and she sings a sad, sweet song in the pale moonlight. And it's said that her voice is clearer and more beautiful than that of any bird, and her music more melodious than the golden harps and silvern pipes of fairyland.
Wow.
Yeah. Just to finish us off, she has some themes in life and death and with animals. She's said to be the guardian of life force. In this role, she finds and nourishes the seeds buried in the earth and then begins to bring them to life during spring.
Aww.
So she's the goddess of death and rebirth. She also guards the animals during winter and protects them from the harsh elements.
She sounds like a great lady.
Yeah, she's like an all-rounder. Just another significant date to bear in mind, because it'll be coming up not too long away in February on St. Bridget's Day. That is the day that Beira collects all of her firewood to keep her warm. She collects the firewood if she plans on making winter last longer. If she's going to be collecting firewood, she ensures fair weather on that day for the wood gathering. But if it's bad weather, it means that it's actually going to get better as the year goes on, because she doesn't have to gather any wood and she's not ensuring fair weather. So keep an eye out for what the weather is like on St. Bridget's Day this year, because it'll give you an indication if the winter is going to last much longer.
That's so funny because it's Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
But it's different.
That's such a good point. I wonder if that's where like Groundhog Day, like, was it borrowed?
Yeah. I wonder if they were like, we need to make our own.
That's so
but
crazy.
American.
So yeah, those are my snow queens, goddesses, maidens, and witches.
I love them. I love them all.
I love them all. Some of them are from folklore. Some of them are just fictional. Some of them are clear just like marketing and capitalism. But we won't hold it against them.
It's okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope everybody's keeping warm, because it's
going to be warm here for Christmas, so we're not.
Emily is disgusted.
I'm disgusted.
What did you say it's going to be?
I say to myself, I hope it's a white Christmas. I was excited because here in Chicago, it hasn't been snowy on Christmas in a long time. And we're going to Minnesota for Christmas, and they've had white Christmases the last few years. So I was like, okay, we're gonna get a white Christmas, and then it said, gotcha.
So rude. Yeah, it's gonna be 10 degrees here.
That's the same, although we call it 50.
So thank you for listening to our final episode of 2023.
Wow. Yes, thank you guys so much. I can't even believe that we're here. This is so crazy.
Again, I can't believe we've made it like to 2 like New Year's on this podcast. It's cool.
We've been doing this for about 1.5 years.
That's nuts. Do you have any? I keep seeing like, rather than like New Year's resolutions, people just asking like, do you have like a focus word for 2024? Is there a word that you would like to carry with you?
I haven't thought about it yet, but I'll let you know when I think about it.
Yeah. So I know like people like, you know, make fun of people like, oh, it's like, it's such a cliche to like, you know, you're just going to wake up on another morning and like it's, you know, it's, you're still going to be the same person that you were yesterday. But I think like if resetting at the start of the year helps you, like there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Right. If that ritual helps you because it is a new date, you know, you're writing a new date on your, well, nobody writes checks anymore, but you know what I mean? On your paperwork that you fill out at the doctor, wherever you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's if you want to do that and feel like you're refreshed and everything's new, then go for it.
Yeah. My only advice as somebody who's like, I'm pretty okay at like, if I pick up a habit, I can usually like keep it going for a long time. Like if I like make a decision, I'm pretty good at that. Like
rub it in.
No, I was just gonna say, like, my only advice for people is like baby steps, tiny changes.
Yeah.
Like, don't go like, I'm gonna like become really fit this year and I'm gonna like be able to run like whatever by the end of the year. Just like try walking first.
Yeah.
Try actually wanting to go outside first. Try joining the gym.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was talking to my doctor about wanting to lose weight, and she asked me how much I want to lose, and I was like, well, I don't like to think of the big number first. I like to think of like it in chunks. So I'll be like, well, I want to lose 10 pounds.
yeah.
And then when I get to losing 10 pounds, I go, I want to lose 10 more. Just because that's easier for me. Because if I'm like, I want to lose 80 pounds or whatever it is, that's a lot. That feels like way too much to tackle.
Yeah. It's a big like number to put in front of yourself.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's nothing wrong with like 1 day at a time, 1 week at a time. If there's a change you want to make, and it could be like, it's not you giving up something. It can be replacing something. It can be creating a new habit. If you just want to like get a little bit better about like one of my, this was years ago, but one of my like resolutions, if you can call it that, was I was just going to get better at replying to people.
Yeah. Because
I used to be horrific for that. And I have gotten a little bit better at replying to people.
I think you're pretty good.
Yeah. Like I'll try and reply that day, if not within the next couple of days. Yeah, because everybody's busy and I will never judge somebody for not replying to me. Like I have friends that like I'll text them and I don't hear back from them for literally weeks. Sinead Kennedy. And
not to name any names,
Sinead Kennedy. No, but I know that it's like, it's not that like she's mad at me or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, sometimes she just has to take some time off, or sometimes she's just doesn't have the capacity.
Yeah. And for me, I'm being overrun by a child. So everybody that I don't respond to, it's not personal at all. It's just my life is chaos. I'm trying to do way too many things at once on top of having a baby. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
But I think like as much shit as like us millennials get, I think we've all become as a generation pretty good about like being a bit more gentle with ourselves and with each other. Like
we're the best, you can say it.
Yeah, we are. And we break like these habits of like hopefully trying to be like perfect at everything, because you can't be and you shouldn't be.
Right.
And if you're great at everything, like what else are you going to do? Like you're just going to be bored. You always should have something to work towards, you know?
For sure. Strive forever.
Yes.
And on that note,
yeah. If there's anything that you guys want to tell us about, like your resolutions, what you're giving up, what you're carrying over, let us know on our Instagram, and we always love to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And we love you guys.
We love you. And with that, I've been Niamh for 2023.
And I'm Emily, also for 2023.
And we will hopefully be the same people in 2024.
And let's hope for, like, not another pandemic or something, you know?
Fuck yeah, folklore.
All right, fuck yeah, folklore, everybody. Goodbye. Happy New Year.
Bye. Happy New Year.
Genitals